What is up, guys? All right, so let's just wait a minute, take it back, restart from the top. Let's see. The beginning of 2020, I decided that it was time to launch this podcast. And somewhere in the middle, it was going great momentum, topics started flowing, creativity. But in the middle of business, life, kids, quarantine, and everything else in life, you tend to give yourself excuses of why things need to get pushed on the back burner. And it's those very things that initially allowed you to get creative in the first place, to create excitement, to allow you to be your best self. The things that cause you to just be in the state of peace and happiness, because you get to create that every single day. It's completely a choice and it's completely up to you. So here we are, 2 months left of 2020, and I don't want to say that I'm back, but I want to say that we start now. A lot of people get into this habit of you have to wait for the new year, you have to wait for that Monday, you have to wait for the beginning of the month. And I'm here to tell you that there's like 3 days left of October, there's 2 months left of 2020, but the day to start your healthy plan is now. The day to start your financial savings is now. The day to start your podcast is now. The day to pick back up where you left off is now. Don't wait, don't hesitate. Do it now and keep going. So again, so happy to be here with you guys. I hope that you find this at a time that one, you needed it the most. One, maybe you were losing some sort of, encouragement, or you were in a state of discouragement. And if I haven't learned anything, I've learned this. People do things out of desperation or inspiration. And for some people, it's that willingness to, be better. It's that willingness to thrive. It's that willingness to be successful. But for other people, and I've caught myself being on both sides of the spectrum, is the unwillingness to stay broke. It's the unwillingness to stay overweight. It was the unwillingness to, stay in the neighborhood I was raised in. It was the unwillingness to just live my life solely off of a degree. It was the unwillingness to just settle, because I've learned this: dust settles. We get to move, we get to grow, we get to change, we get to adapt, we get to overcome. And if you really want to, you can dominate any section, any era of what you choose to do in your life. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about controlling what you feel you can control with your time. And I want to call it time management, but really it's like managing your time, but most importantly, managing your energy. And the way to do that is asking yourself, well, how much time do you actually have every single day? Every single day, we all have the same amount of time, 24 hours in a day. And I say this all the time. It's what you do with that time. But people are like, well, what do you mean? Can you elaborate? Absolutely. I'm going to keep this short, but I'm going to keep this sweet, and I'm going to keep this strong. Okay? Just how I like my tea. So that was a joke. Haha. So with that being said, you guys, take some notes, whip out your journal, whip out your notes on your phone. Allow yourself to actually listen, grasp, and take notes and apply what is going to help you from this level of your life to the next level of your life. And that may be between today and tomorrow, between today and next week, between today and next month, between today and next year. But the best time to do that is now. Okay, so I want to give you guys some tips that have helped me that you can take notes on. So for example, the first thing you need to know is, what is important to me? Write that down. Like, what is important to me? What do I value? Do I value spending time with family? Do I value spending time with friends? Do I value partying? Do I value studying? Do I value reading books? Do I value knitting? Do I value adding value to the marketplace? What do you value? What is it that you value? And then go get more of that with the time that you have. I've learned, and this has been tugging at me to kind of continue to read on time and why we all have the same time and why people don't do as much with their time as they would like. And I think it was because I was getting caught up with my own time, that I was trying to manage so many different things that in return, you don't feel any level of satisfaction because you get nowhere real fast. There's a difference between being busy and there's a difference between being productive. And you can get really caught up in movement versus progression, right? So I learned this recently that about almost an average of Americans, so let's just say people, spend about 22 to 24 hours or 22% of their day at work. So most people spend the average 8 to 10 hours at work. But really, are you actually working? You gotta think about that. You're spending maybe 30 minutes to an hour on your break, another hour probably scrolling through social media, another 30 minutes chit-chattering with your friends, another 20 minutes doing. How much time are you actually spending at work? And how can you utilize that to maximize your time for later, the time that you are not at work? Take notes, because I'm gonna lead this back to something. Then, most people spend 33% of their time asleep. Asleep, 33%. 33% of our days goes to sleep. And that depends if you're choosing to, I believe the average is 7 hours, 8 hours. So imagine if you're oversleeping. Imagine if you're sleeping until noon. Imagine if you're just like, you know what, I don't have the motivation to get up, so I'm just going to go ahead and boom, hit the snooze button 3 more times. And now you've just wasted more time. Right? And then another 16 to 17% of people spend their time watching TV, spend their time watching the news, spend their time online, not necessarily for a good cause, not necessarily to educate themselves, not necessarily looking for knowledge, not necessarily to look how to monetize what their skills or what their, what they have to bring to the marketplace. This is just people that, what do we call it? We're just Netflixing, right? So really think about that. Where and what decide what is important to you. Once you decide that, you can really go from there and see, okay, where in my day do I need some adjustments, or where in my day can I maximize my energy and match it with my time so I can get the most out of my day so you feel fulfilled, okay? So, number 2, take control. If not, you're going to allow others to take control. So what do I mean by that? Take control of your life. Take control of your agenda. Take inventory of what is happening with your day on a day-to-day basis. Let me give you an example. Let's say you work an 8-hour shift job, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You're off on the weekends. You're there for 8 hours. Your body is physically there. Sometimes your mindset's not there. Your emotions are not there. Your attitude isn't there. But you have to physically be there. But let's say that you see people over social media and you're like, wow, they're living their best life. Like, have you ever thought about why that is? One, you're wasting your time looking at other people's Instagram reels or looking at other people's stories, when in reality, you can use that and maximize that time to create your own reality for the future. I'm not telling you it's going to happen in the next day. I'm not telling you it's going to happen within a week. But essentially, that accumulated amount of time and energy that you're putting towards your own goals, instead of giving it or pretty much wasting it into other unnecessary things, could really get you to where you want to be. So you're at work, you're spending an hour, watching stories, doing this, doing that. And then you go home and you complain that you have no time to exercise because you're still catching up on people's, social media. That time could be maximized. Maybe take that hour at work, maybe take those 30 minutes of lunch break and go for a walk. Do some squats, stand up and run in place, do some jumping jacks. Become so obsessed with taking control of your time, or more importantly, of your energy, so it doesn't take control over you. So, example, like I told you guys, some of these things that take control over us, are when we're going to work and having unnecessary conversations, when we're coming home and, we're sitting on the couch, when we are at work and we're not necessarily actually doing work, which is why we feel so overwhelmed when our bosses, or when your boss is down your throat because you were supposed to finish a task or a project on time and you're like, I have no time. Have you thought about the time that you spent wasting scrolling through social media when you did have the time? Imagine if you were able to do that project within 4 hours straight focus, and then you really had the other 4 hours to maybe work a side hustle so you can earn extra income. And essentially with the accumulation of that and work, right? With this time and energy that you're putting in, you feel self-satisfied, you're making extra income, you're being a top performer at your job, and you're feeling good at the same time. So by the time you get home, you made enough time to go for your, 30-minute walk. Spend more time with your family. It's not the same thing over and over again where you're just 9 to 5, going home, doing your chores, squeezing all your chores and your parties and everything in on the weekend, and living that Monday life that most people, you choose to have this. And I am a perfect example because I chose this for a while, and my husband chose this for a while. And finally, when we had the opportunity to say, okay, this is a choice. You can change it. You don't determine your future. You determine your habits, and your habits determine your future. Now, whether you choose to make those habits great or whether you choose to not make those habits great, the choice is yours. The time is now, but the choice is yours. So, number 3, do it enough. Do it enough to win. Do it enough to win, people. Caballero, I'm going to speak in Spanish to you now. The reason why most people hate their jobs or hate their circumstances is because you're not even doing it enough to give yourself the opportunity to win, to have that satisfaction, to say, you know what, I gave it my all, I'm doing my best, and even if others don't recognize me, I'm building my own freaking character. Do it enough to win. And network marketing, doing it enough to win, where you can reach more people, where you can make more impact, when you can take more action of that time and that energy of yours, where you're doing it enough that you're winning, that you're having that satisfaction, that you're feeling amazing, that it feels more of a win and more of a satisfaction than a burden. And that's where people complain. When they're going to work and they're complaining and they're wasting time because they don't feel like they're doing anything. They're not doing it enough to win. Successful people, honestly, anytime I've spoken to someone that's successful in any area of their life, spiritually, emotionally, financially, and in their gifts and their creativity, they don't complain. Even though it may be challenging at times, even though they may have, they may lack certain things, they work in their passion. Why? Because they've done it enough, they've failed enough to win. So it still gives them satisfaction when they get to teach it, when they get to show it, and when they get to duplicate it. Guys, do it enough to win. Number 4, which I think I should have started with this one, right? So you guys can put this in whatever order, but I do want to let you guys know this is actually should be number 1. Be grateful to be there. Be grateful to be there. Be grateful to have a job. Be grateful to have a home. Be grateful to have a car. I didn't say if the car was going to run or not. I never told you if the car was going to break down. I didn't say that your roof wasn't going to leak today. I didn't say, that your job wasn't going to treat you the best. Just be grateful that you have it. What are you going to do with that specific area of your life to cause enhancement? What are you going to do with that time? How are you going to make it easier for you to achieve the things that you want with the time that you have? But most importantly, stay in gratitude. When you stay in gratitude, you start looking at the things around you completely different. You know what? Maybe I wasn't consistent as I wanted to be in certain areas of my life this year, but I'm in such gratitude that I'm still here alive today to start now, to make the decision now, to be a better person now, to read the books now, to get into the network marketing now, to be a better parent now, to learn more about my relationships and give more into my marriage now, to build an amazing team and an empire now, right? Stay in gratitude. Gratitude will keep you humble. Gratitude will keep you alive. Gratitude will keep you excited every single day. And when you can find that one thing, doesn't mean that you have to be grateful for everything, right? But when you can find one thing that you're grateful for, that you can be in gratitude for every single day, try this. Try this for the next week. Wake up every day, and before you go to work or before you get up to start tending to your kids, to start doing everything they have to do, be in gratitude. Say, I am grateful, and start shouting it out loud or start speaking it out loud. I do that every single day. I write out my gratitudes every single day. I've been doing this for years, and the more consistent I become with it, the better that I feel. Even if those things have already been in my life, I'm still grateful to keep them in my life. I'm still grateful to have the time that I have in my life. Now, whether I choose to have an attitude that day or I choose to have, or I don't have an attitude, good or bad, the choice is up to me. But I'm grateful to even be given the option to wake up today, right? So then I have a couple more for you guys. Log where you're spending your time. Have you ever even thought about that? Like taking some notes on where you're spending your time. Write that down. 8 hours at work, an hour drive home, an hour to work. I got to tend to my kids. I got to tend to my dogs. I got to tend to my wife. I got to tend to my business. Where does your time go? Write down everything. The 30 minutes at work, what you do with it. The hour on your drive home, what you're choosing to do with it. Are you choosing to listen to, personal development and positivity things? Is this on your radio while you're driving to or from work? Or do you have drama? Do you have news? Do you have negativity? Because I'm telling you now, you're already filling up your mind with ideas of why you have no time, and it gives an open door for you to complain and live in complaint instead of living in gratitude. Really start thinking about that. When I got into my business, I loved watching, series on TV. I love watching certain things. I love listening to music. Different types of music is like soothing to my soul, especially when I'm working out. And I realized this, I had a 45-minute drive home and a 45-minute drive back. And what I started doing is I started listening to audio tapes, and I started seeking more, and I started looking for things, and I started putting stuff in my podcast, and I started listening to audibles. My mind shifted. So it wasn't necessarily that I was in the action of like, okay, this or that, but I was learning enough and getting enough positive knowledge, because you can get negative knowledge, that then it allowed me to just be more excited about putting that time and that energy and that effort into wanting to change my life. You can either make a living or you can design a life. You can decide that, right? So log in where your habits are. When you come home, what do? Are you complaining, right? When you go home, what are the activities that are not adding any fuel to your fire? And cut those out. Some may be bad, some may be good, some you may not want to do. I'll give you an example. I have a very big family. My family loves to do parties every other weekend, right? My ethnicity is we're loud, we're happy, this. But when I was in the process of starting my own business, and when I was in the process of building myself and learning the skills and being very, frugal with my time, I knew that I worked 12-hour shifts. I knew that I had things on my plate. I knew that I had a newborn. I knew that I was raising kids. I knew that I had to still find time for my husband and I. So what happened? A lot of that extra spending of time, I cut out. It was a choice. A lot of people didn't understand. A lot of people didn't like it. And a lot of people don't pay my bills, and they probably don't pay yours either. So be mindful of where you're allowing and who you're allowing to take your time every single day. If you know you're supposed to show up, show up. If you know you're supposed to show up for your team, if you know you're supposed to show up, for whatever it is, I'm just solely talking about maybe in your business right now, show up. But once you can allow that yourself to log where your time is going, you can start opening up what is a priority to you in your life, right? So, number, I believe, 6, change the schedule. Change the schedule. Let me tell you guys this. When my kids were born, till this day, our schedule changed from season to season. Why? At the beginning of this year, my sons were all in school, and in school person, right? And then 3 months into the year, all my kids went to virtual school, and our schedules changes. I didn't freak out. I didn't act overwhelmed. And that's where most people live, because you live in such a state, because you're living in such lack, because you feel like there's no time. Create such a stable foundation everywhere that you're at, in your home, in your business, in your relationships, in your mind, in your seeking, in your whatever it is for you, that it's not either or, it's everything. And in what I get to do, you get to have it all. You just have to be smart of how you choose to utilize your time and your energy, and always give your best efforts, right? So for example, The moment that quarantine started, we just decided to take our kids out in the morning. In the morning, we would have family walks. We would make sure that we would spend time with them. Why? Because when I worked my business, I worked from home. So now that my kids were going to be home, I had to make sure that I spent time with my kids, my husband, and I had to make sure that I nurtured my business. Because if I gave every single day to just my kids, that was not going to be able to sustain my business, which my business is what was able to sustain me being able to stay home to raise my kids in the first place. Does this make sense? All right. If it does, I would love to know your feedback. I would love to know if this is where you're at. I would love to know if anything that I'm telling you is something that you feel that you're struggling in. So change your schedule. Allow yourself maybe to wake up 30 minutes earlier to read a book or read a devotional or work out or go for a walk or walk your dog. Allow yourself those 30 minutes after work, that 30-minute lunch break to be more productive, right? Where are you going to shake up and change your schedule to add more value to yourself? And in essence, you're going to create more time. Because let's say that you're at work and you're taking those 30 minutes to 45 minutes to work out, or you're going for a walk, you feel satisfied. So by the end of the day, if you can't do that when you get home, you're not in this state of anxiety or of feeling bad for yourself. You already know that you were active and you feel good and you feel accomplished. And then in essence, it gives you more time to go do your other priorities for the day. And then number 7, start your commitment plan to success. A lot of people steer away from the C words, commitment, change, consistency. And those are the things that are going to start attracting the good things in your life. I always listen to Jim Rohn. If you don't know who he is, YouTube him. He is absolutely amazing. When you change your mindset, you're going to change your life. When you work on yourself harder than you do at your job, what does that mean? Show up to the seminars, read a book, get yourself around people that make you uncomfortable because their vision is so big. It makes your mind scared to even be able to think like this, right? And honestly, that's what I started to do. And that's what I continue to do. There's no time better to do anything than now. If this year hasn't taught you yet anything, there's no time to start something, to be better at something, to be more consistent. Don't go into the new year just saying, new year, new resolution. Why not start now? Why not have new year? I am a better me. Let me go ahead and prove to myself how much better I can get and how much better I can be. So I want to leave you guys with this. And I cannot wait to hear you guys' feedback, how many times you share this, how many people you get to help just by simply, allowing them to really see what is possible of them managing and, taking control of their daily habits, of what they're doing with their time, of how you're spending your energy, and how much efforts you're going to continue to take to allow yourself to grow. So remember this, if you play small, you stay small. So play full out.